Today, we're cracking open a field manual designed for what some analysts believe is going to be an incredibly volatile decade. This briefing is based on the 2030 Protocol, a guide that essentially takes spy tradecraft and adapts it for civilian readiness. So, let's begin.
Right off the bat, the protocol hits you with a pretty stark warning. The core argument here is that the real intelligence signals, the stuff happening beneath the surface of the daily news, they're all indicating that a period of massive instability isn't just a forecast anymore, it's an approaching reality.
The source frames this whole coming decade through the lens of a theory called the fourth turning. Think of it like a historical cycle, a kind of societal reset button that gets hit roughly every 80 years. The last one, well, that was the Great Depression and World War II. The one before that was the American Civil War. The protocol argues we are entering another one right now. And that historical context is precisely why the tradecraft we're about to discuss is considered so essential. Okay, so how do you even begin to prepare for something like that? The protocol is crystal clear. It all starts right here, in your head. This first section is all about forging the mental toolkit you need to navigate, not just survive what's on the horizon.
Look, we've all heard the phrase situational awareness, right? But what does it actually mean? The protocol draws a really sharp line between just casually observing what's around you and the disciplined perception of a trained operative. And it breaks that difference down into a clear three-stage process.
So it really breaks down into three distinct stages. First, you've got perception. This is just gathering the raw data with your senses, seeing the exits, the people, the cars, simple enough. Then comes stage 2, comprehension. This is where you understand the context, the baseline for that environment. So is a van parked outside a bank normal? Maybe. But is it normal at 3 a.m.? That changes things, doesn't it? And finally, stage 3 is projection, predicting what's most likely to happen next. If that crowd keeps moving in that direction, what's the outcome in the next 5 minutes? That's the key.
Now, here's what's really fascinating. How do operatives manage the mental energy for this without getting totally paranoid? Well, it's not about being on high alert 24/7. It's about being efficient. They use these color codes. Condition white is totally oblivious, scrolling on your phone. The manual is adamant that condition yellow, relaxed but alert, just scanning your environment, should be the new civilian default anytime you're in public. It's about spotting those anomalies before they turn into actual threats.
And when you do spot an anomaly, this is the tool you use to process it. The OODA Loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. You know how in a crisis people just freeze? They get stuck on that first step, observe. The OODA Loop is a mental drill designed to cycle you through that process faster than the threat can develop, so you can act while everyone else is still trying to figure out what's even happening. All right, so we've covered the internal mindset. Now the protocol shifts gears to external tactics. Section 2 is all about operational tradecraft, how to secure your environment and, even more critically, your information. The manual identifies a huge modern threat, one that's both silent and relentless. Surveillance isn't just about government agencies anymore. It's a massive, multi-billion-dollar commercial industry. Data brokers are collecting and selling your entire life as a product, creating a digital profile that can be bought and exploited by pretty much anyone.
So how do you counter this? The protocol lays out a plan to basically become a digital ghost. It boils down to 3 key steps. First, you purge your data from these broker websites. Second, you compartmentalize your life. Use aliases and burner info for things like online shopping, and save your real identity only for high-trust situations. And third, you secure your physical devices, especially when you're traveling across borders.
But hey, the threats aren't just digital. There's the human element. Elicitation is a human intelligence tactic. It's the art of getting you to reveal sensitive information without you even realizing you're being interrogated. It feels like a totally normal, friendly conversation, but it's actually designed to make you leak data about your plans, your finances, or your resources.
To defend against this, the protocol gives you a few simple techniques. First, always apply the why filter. Seriously, why do they need to know this? Second, learn to pivot. When they ask a direct question about your supplies, answer with a general thought like, yeah, I think everyone's trying to be a bit more prepared these days. And finally, there's planned ignorance. Oh, my spouse handles all that stuff. It's simple, but it works. Okay, we're moving into the final section of the briefing, and this is where we shift from short-term tactics to long-term strategy. This is all about building a robust architecture for your own personal freedom and resilience. The protocol's endgame thesis is pretty blunt. The ultimate insurance policy is to simply not be in the blast radius when a crisis actually hits.
This means strategically choosing where you live and where you keep your assets, basing those decisions on cold, hard logic, not just habit or convenience. And this is put into action through something called flag theory. The big idea is to diversify your personal sovereignty, so you're not totally dependent on a single government for your freedom and your safety. You plant flags, a second citizenship, a residency in a stable country, your banking in a third, and maybe a business in a fourth. You become a citizen of the world, not just a subject of one nation.
And executing this can be surprisingly practical. This slide shows a few citizenship by investment programs, and as you can see, there's a clear trade-off. A country like Vanuatu offers incredible speed for a relatively low cost, perfect for a quick Plan B. On the other end of the spectrum, you have Malta. It gives you full EU access, but it's going to cost you a lot more and take a lot longer. It's all about choosing the right tool for your specific mission.
But here's the thing, no matter what your plan is, it absolutely cannot have a single point of failure. This is where we borrow a concept straight from Special Operations Forces, the PACE framework. For every single critical function, you need a primary, an alternate, a contingency, and an emergency plan.
So let's see how this actually applies to your own life. Let's take communications. Your primary plan? Your smartphone. Easy. But what if the cell towers go down? Your alternate is a satellite phone. What if the satellites get jammed? Your contingency is a short-range radio. And if all tech fails, your emergency plan is a prearranged physical meetup spot. See? No single failure can stop you. At the end of the day, the protocol really presents two different paths. On one side, you have the passive observer. They assume stability will continue, they wait for instructions, and they have one single plan. That's probably going to fail. On the other side, you have the active operator. They assume volatility is the new normal, they build their own redundant plans, and they operate in that state of relaxed awareness, condition yellow. They choose to be the agent of their own life, not a victim of circumstance.
So, the intelligence has been presented and the tradecraft has been explained. This source material doesn't really offer comfort, it offers a mission. And it leaves us with one final provocative question to think about. Are you ready?